Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Tittle Tattle Tarot. It's Georgie again. And in today's reading, I'm going to look at something I've heard about Harry's book regarding the Spice Girls. He reminisces about November 1997, when he was a 13-year-old boy. His father took him on a little press trip and he went to see the Spice Girls. And I think that must have been every little boy's dream at 13 to be surrounded with these wonderful women. How amazing. What an experience. It was only 3 months after Diana had died. So I think it was a lovely thing for Charles to do. Just a little bit of a thing for him and his son to be together. And I think Charles had a little bit of a soft spot for the Spice Girls as well. So a nice little trip. The thing that surprised me was the way I heard that Harry had spoken about the Spice Girls. He reminisced not as the man that he is at 38, but he sort of spoke from being a 13-year-old child, which is fine, but his views, he didn't clarify his views as an adult. Things that he saw in them as a 13-year-old child, he just let them be said. He didn't sort of say, oh, that was the way I looked at them then. Now I see them as, and come at it from an adult perspective, if you understand what I mean. So I'll make myself clear. When he met the Spice Girls, he felt very uncomfortable. He said they fawned over him, and he found the way that they were with the media distasteful. Now, I can understand a 13-year-old boy feeling like that, feeling a little bit uncomfortable, among these beautiful women, and a little bit self-conscious. Now, you'd think as an adult he would have said, but now I look back and I see, and explain. But he didn't. He left that as, a standing statement. He felt uncomfortable and they fawned over him. He was very surprised at how intoxicated they were by the press attention. Now, I'm sure that a 13-year-old boy, especially Harry, would not have thought in those terms. But, again, understandable looking at it from a child's basically point of view. But as an adult, he could have clarified that and said, now I understand that, these were girls who were trying to promote their careers and, fully understand. And I shouldn't have felt so, so strange and so uncomfortable, or what have you. I don't know. And they had said to Harry that it was their crusade that they were on. And he said, I didn't know they had a crusade. Now, fair enough, again, as a 13-year-old boy, you probably wouldn't. But now he could say, oh, but looking back, I understand that they had a crusade against sexism. These women have done far more for girl power and for, the crusade against sexism than Meghan Markle could ever do in her entire life. She's done nothing. And these 5 women were amazing. All that girl power, all that positivity. And he just kind of dismissed it. I didn't even know. I didn't know they had an agenda. So without clarifying any of that, you'd think as a man, he would turn around and say, oh gosh, now I understand. They had to flirt with the press because, these girls, none of them were from rich families. They hadn't been given it all. They had to work and, promote themselves. No, he just left those very naive opinions and quite sort of dismissive opinions of these 5 wonderful women. Just let that stand as a 13-year-old boy. And I think it put them down. That's my personal opinion. But I want to know what Victoria, Mel, Mel B, Mel C, Emma Bunton and Jerry Halliwell would say if they knew, or if somebody tells them, about the way he was so dismissive about them in the book, because he could have been much nicer. He could have said, looking back as an adult, I see that this, that, and the other, but he chose not to. So I'm going to pull a card for each of them and just see what each of these women would feel if they knew that he just dismissed their whole crusade against sexism, that I didn't know anything about it, and thought that they were fawning over him and didn't like the way that they were flirting with the press. Just left it at that. So let's see. I'm going to start with Victoria Beckham. Let's start with Victoria Beckham. I'm just going to pull from the top. Victoria Beckham. What would she think? Let's just go. Victoria Beckham. Right. Victoria Beckham. She would say, it's all for the money. He's doing it for the money. This is just all it's about. He's taking, he's squeezing whatever he can. We are a story that he can just take from. If it was up the other way, it would be even give and take. He would have been in that even give and take if he'd have said, now as an adult, I can see that I was just really embarrassed as a little boy, you know, and these women, wow, what an experience to be there with my father and meet these groundbreaking women who did so much for empowering women, girl power. How fantastic that I was able to meet them. But no, he couldn't do that. He couldn't let somebody shine and let somebody have some credit. So that would have been the even give and take. He would have given them the praise that they deserved. But no, she sees it as just a little bit of meanness, you know. He didn't have to do that. He was just taking money for the book, taking these stories and, you know, using the parts of them that served him. He was serving his own agenda when he wrote that. So that, I think, is what Victoria Beckham would have said about it. So I'll put that across Victoria's name. There you are. You just see Posh Spice there. So that's what she thought. Mel Brown, Scary Spice. So what would Scary Spice say? Maybe she won't be as as diplomatic as Victoria. What would Scary Spice say? Let's see. What would Scary Spice say about her days as a Spice Girl being so disrespected, really, by Harry? Let's just take from there. She's walked away from it years ago. She, you know, it doesn't matter to her. 8 of Cups. She walked away from the Spice Girls. She's got a new life. Look at her going off into the horizon. This is Mel Brown, Scary Spice. Makes no difference to her. This is water. It's water off a duck's back. That was a past life. She's gone on. She's, you know, she's got her life now. She's walking into the sun. She's very happy with her life decisions. If you said to her, he said this, she'd say, oh, it was so many years ago. So what? Very sort of, I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Good for her. Good for her. Because it really doesn't matter. So that's Scary Spice. So who have we got? We've got Mel Chisholm. She was a sporty one. She was a gymnast. Fabulous singer. So let's see what Mel Chisholm would say. What would Mel Chisholm say about Harry? Just very dismissive of everything that the Spice Girls did. Had no idea that they stood for anything. Oh, I didn't know they stood for anything. Never clarified that to know that years later that they were groundbreaking and real feminists, really supported women, unlike his wife. So what about Mel Chisholm, Sporty Spice? What would she think? What would she say? What would she feel? There, that one wanted to talk. The Moon in reverse. Oh, she just sees this as just lies for the not necessarily that he was lying about how he felt, but just this whole, the moon this way up is things going on that maybe you're not quite aware of. It is that sort of dark side. So the moon is always a little bit secretive and, you know, the undercurrent of what's happening. When it's up the other way, it's very much, you know, I want to say sneaky. It's very much, you see the deception, and you see the smoke and the mirrors, a little bit like the magician, but you see what's going on. You see the reasons why. She sees that this is just all for the book. This is just another tale. They've been used, just like Victoria Beckham saw, with the uneven give and take, the selfish take. She sees that, and she's not bothered by it. She looks at it and just thinks, well, that is a distortion of the truth. You know, we all got together, we had a lovely time. I think Prince Charles was, at the time, Prince Charles was really happy to give the girls a kiss, and you know, it was a lovely meeting. What a fantastic time in their lives, and supposedly in Prince Charles, as he was, and Harry's life. So she looks at that as just deceptive. It's not the way it was. You're looking at a distorted reflection here of the way it was, and you're recounting it, so it's not accurate. So that's what Mel Chisholm thought, Sporty Spice. So let's come on to Emma Bunton, the youngest member of the Spice Girls. Lovely Emma, baby Spice. What would she think? What would she think about it? What would baby Spice think about it? Emma Bunton. What would be her reaction? Just the work that they did being so dismissed. Nothing clarified in that statement at all. What would she think? I'm just going to take from the top for Emma. The Hangman. Well, again, these are all really wise cards from these women. She just stands back and just looks at it and just sees it for what it is. You know, the Hangman, you just take a breath, you step back, you look, and you think, well, you know, I will make of what I will of this. I'll try and look at it from different perspectives. I'm just going to take some time and consider this. And then, you know, you come out of the Hangman and you move on, and, you know, you just think, what have you learned from that? And I think she's probably thinking to herself, well, I don't know why he did that, but I'm not getting involved. I'm just going to look at it, try and look at it from his perspective as a young boy, and just look at his perspective of writing this book. But Hangman, it's very, you know, you're not in pain when you're in the Hangman. You just stand back and you think, really? Oh, okay, fair enough. I'll just get on with my life now. And, you know, I've learnt my lesson. You've sort of shown for what you are. And okay, I know that. I know what you think. That's fine. Thank you for telling me that. So that's the kind of energy I get from the Hangman with Emma Burton. She sees through it. Took a deep breath, looked at it, saw through the situation, happy to move on with her life, having learnt a little lesson about Prince Harry, haven't we all? Okay, and so the last one, lovely Jerry Halliwell, Ginger Spice. She's quite fiery. What does she think? What would she think? Jerry Halliwell think? What would Jerry Halliwell think? Very fiery girl. I know. What would she think of this? I'm just going to stop at the top. Here we go. I think she sees that the Page of Cups, he's very much looking back to when he was a child and being idealistic, just saying exactly as it was for him as a child. But he's never grown up, and I think this is the energy that's coming here. She looks at it. If she's read the book, she'll just realize how arrested he is in his development, that he's just so up in the air. Doesn't that say it perfectly? He is just not a grounded person. How can you trust what this person saying there always be that child. He said it from that child's point of view, and basically he is still that child. He's still floating. He's still in that energy, that childish energy, and she sees it as very immature. So I think that is basically her view on it. So this is really interesting. None of these women, and rightly so, you know, they did so much for girl power. Wow, weren't they strong? Weren't they powerful? Whether you like their music or not, you have to admire them. They, you know, that was just the slogan at the time, girl power. And Meghan Markle, Harry's wife, has done nothing for women. All she's ever done is benefited herself. He has just been so dismissive of them, and their response here, what beautiful responses. They see, but they're not rising to the bait, and I think that's wonderful. None of them would rise to the bait on this because they just see him as doing it for the money, very childish, has no effect on their lives, none whatsoever. So I'm just going to pull one card collectively for the collective energy of these lovely Spice Girls who are all very mature women, have beautiful lives, have much more important things to worry about than a silly quote or silly thoughts from a 13-year-old boy that were never clarified as the man. What man did he become? He's still a little boy. Okay, so what would be an overall energy card for the Spice Girls now? So they've all seemed very, very down to earth, very grounded. They know what's what and who's who. I'm just gonna take, I quite like the feel of that. Yeah, they just see him as weak. They see him as weak. They're strong women. They've always been strong women, but their collective energy looking at this book is, what a weak man. What a weak man. The tales he's come up with to sell this book, to sell his soul, it's so weak. And I think I'm going to leave that one on the table as I say to you, that's it. These 5 women, they know what's what, and they see him for his flaws, for his weakness, and they're not bothered by it at all. Hope you enjoyed that one. Had to nip on and just give that one a little go. Hope you have a great day, and I'll catch up with you again in the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.